Picture this. You're a restaurant owner staring at three payment processor quotes spread across your desk. One says 2.5% plus 10 cents. Another says 2.9% plus 30 cents. The third promises something even lower. Your instinct screams, pick the cheapest one, right? But what if I told you that number, the rate, is nothing but a smokescreen? A distraction from the real cost that's secretly draining tens of thousands of dollars from your bottom line every single year. Welcome to the payment processing lie. In 2026, most businesses still think processing is just a simple flat fee, a race to the lowest percentage. But this paper argues that the posted rate is often the least revealing number in the entire stack. The real story lives behind the scenes, in whether payments actually go through, whether stored cards stay usable, whether fraud tools help or hurt approvals, and whether invisible recovery systems rescue transactions that would otherwise die. So before we compare fees, we need to zoom out and ask a bigger question. What is a payment truly costing your restaurant? So here's the million-dollar research question, and it changes everything. If payment processing rates are supposedly all that matter, why are restaurants losing absolute fortunes while chasing the lowest percentage? Here's the hook. Two processors can advertise nearly the same rate, or even one that looks clearly cheaper, yet produce dramatically different real costs for the exact same restaurant. Why? Because payment economics are not driven only by what you pay per transaction. They're driven by what never becomes a completed transaction in the first place. The answer lies in a single overlooked metric that almost nobody talks about: your approval rate. This is simply the percentage of customer payments that succeed on the first try. And here's the shocking part. A measly 1 to 3% difference in approval rates can translate to tens of thousands of dollars lost or gained annually. If a guest tries to order on a busy Friday night and their card fails because of a temporary issue, the restaurant doesn't just lose a processing event. It may lose the ticket, the reorder, the tip, the loyalty momentum, and maybe even the customer forever. That means the true research question is not who charges less. It's which processor helps more good payments get approved, recovered, and completed. And once you frame it that way, the entire conversation changes. Now let's expose what's really happening with old-school processors and why the existing approach falls painfully short. Most restaurants, and frankly many sales conversations, evaluate processors as if payments were a commodity. A rate sheet goes in, a provider gets selected, and everyone assumes the cheapest line item wins. But that framework misses the infrastructure layer entirely. When your customer's card gets declined on a busy Friday night, legacy systems commit an unforgivable sin. They fail once and immediately give up. That's it. Transaction dead, order lost, customer gone, probably forever. And here's the dirty little secret. Most of these declines aren't even real problems with the card. They're temporary hiccups, bank network timeouts, momentary insufficient funds that would resolve in minutes, processor routing errors, or temporary fraud checks. Yet outdated systems have zero ability to distinguish between a real decline and a temporary glitch. Existing comparisons also fail to ask whether the processor retries transient declines, refreshes stored credentials, supports network tokenization, or uses fraud systems that increase trust with issuers. The industry measures the most visible number and ignores the most consequential mechanisms. That gap matters enormously, because leaving money on the table because of a clunky legacy system is a silent killer for hospitality profit margins. So how do we fix this broken system? The paper lays out a modern payments methodology built around approval rate optimization rather than fee minimization alone. 4 intelligent pillars that together form a completely new payments infrastructure. First, intelligent auto-retries. Instead of treating a decline as the end of the story, the processor makes another attempt using bank-specific timing logic, quietly recovering 3 to 8% of dropped payments that would otherwise be dead in the water. Second, card account updating automatically fetches fresh expiration dates and replacement card details from the networks for the roughly 30% of stored cards that expire or change annually, preventing failures before the guest ever notices a problem. Third, Network tokenization replaces raw 16-digit card numbers with secure, continuously updating cryptographic credentials issued directly by Visa and MasterCard, credentials that banks inherently trust far more. And fourth, advanced fraud intelligence evaluates hundreds of contextual signals, so the system can send massive trust signals to issuing banks, approving more legitimate orders while blocking genuinely bad activity. Taken together, this is not one feature. It's an orchestration layer designed to turn more valid payment intent into completed revenue. Now we arrive at the findings, and this is where the argument becomes impossible to ignore. The paper highlights that intelligent auto retries can recover roughly 3 to 8% of transactions that would otherwise be permanently lost. Card account updating prevents 30 to 35% of stored cards from failing when they naturally expire or get replaced. Network tokenization improves approval rates by 1.5 to 3.2%, and in mobile wallet contexts, sometimes up to 6%. And intelligent fraud systems boost approvals by another 1 to 4% by helping banks trust good transactions. But here's the most striking result, and it's economic. A processor with a lower advertised rate can still leave a restaurant dramatically worse off if approval performance is weaker. For a restaurant doing $2 million annually online with a $35 average basket size, a 5 to 7% approval lift equals $100,000 to $140,000 in recovered revenue, far more than the $19,500 you might save in fees with a cheaper rate. Even after the slightly higher processing fees, that restaurant still nets around $120,000 better. The math doesn't just speak, it screams. The visible fee shrinks while the hidden revenue leak grows. The implications spread far beyond the checkout screen, and this is where it gets truly exciting for restaurant operators. If approval rates improve, restaurants don't just process more payments, they convert more traffic, waste less marketing spend, reduce avoidable support work, and create a smoother guest experience that encourages repeat ordering. Imagine it's Friday night. Your restaurant is absolutely slammed, and a loyal customer's order fails due to a temporary bank glitch. With auto retries, that transaction succeeds seconds later without the customer even knowing there was a problem. You've just saved that order, that customer, and that lifetime value. Consider your regulars with stored cards for loyalty programs. When their card expires, card account updating automatically refreshes it, so their next order is seamless. No friction, no lost customer. Network tokenization means that customers' cards stored in your app is actually more secure and more likely to be approved than if they typed it in fresh. And fraud intelligence ensures that when a first-time guest places a large catering order on their phone at 11 p.m., the bank sees trust signals and approves it instead of flagging it as suspicious. Stored cards that stay current also help loyalty programs and frequent buyers continue transacting without interruption, and your paid marketing ROI skyrockets because fewer acquired customers bounce at the finish line. The processor is no longer just a toll collector. It becomes part of your restaurant's conversion engine, retention engine, and trust engine all at once. We stand at a pivotal moment in payment processing history, and the resolution is a genuine mindset shift. The old paradigm of rate shopping is officially dead. The new paradigm is infrastructure optimization, and it's a complete transformation in how restaurants must think. It is no longer about who offers the lowest basis points. It's about who helps you keep the most revenue. Modern processors have essentially become revenue optimization platforms, not just cost centers. Looking ahead, AI-driven optimization will only get smarter, predicting declines before they happen and routing transactions through the most efficient pathways in real time. As digital ordering, saved credentials, mobile wallets, and omni-channel guest journeys continue to expand, tokenization, credential lifecycle management, adaptive fraud scoring, and AI-assisted routing are rapidly becoming table stakes rather than premium extras. Restaurants that still evaluate processors as interchangeable commodities may keep optimizing the wrong variable entirely. But restaurants that demand visibility into approvals, retries, token coverage, and credential freshness will be managing payments as a true growth system. Stop fighting over pennies on the rate and start recovering the thousands lost in the infrastructure. And once you see payments through that lens, the decision isn't about paying a few basis points less, it's about building a stack that quietly protects conversion every single day. So let's bring it all home. This paper's core message is simple but powerful. Payment processing is not a commodity, and your quoted rate is not your real cost. What really shapes outcomes is whether your processor can recover transient declines, keep stored cards current, use network tokenization, and apply fraud intelligence that improves issuer trust instead of damaging it. Don't be the restaurant that saves $19,000 in fees but loses $140,000 in revenue. Be the restaurant that asks the smart question, not who has the lowest rate, but who helps me keep the most revenue. Approval rate is the hidden lever connecting payments to revenue, conversion, loyalty, and guest satisfaction. So if you're evaluating a payments partner, don't stop at the fee schedule. Ask what percentage of valid orders actually get through, and what systems are in place to improve that number over time. Take action today. Audit your current processor. Ask about their approval rates. Demand modern infrastructure, and watch your revenue grow. Because in the end, the best processor is not the one that looks cheapest on paper. It's the one that helps your restaurant keep the most revenue in the real world. Like and subscribe for more helpful videos like this. Connect with Forks for the experienced accounting professionals your restaurant needs. Details in description below.